I've owned an iPhone since the very first generation in 2007. As time's gone on, the phone has gotten thinner and thinner, and the outer design has become more glass than any other element. And of course, Android phones have followed this design trend as well. Now we throw an object that cost hundreds to over $1,000 and is made mostly of glass into our pockets. We pull it out one-handed when walking the dogs, we grab at it on our nightstand first thing in the morning when we're barely awake, we pull it out of our cars when we're in a hurry and distracted, and on and on. In other words, we treat what's likely our most important personal item like a cheap rubber toy. No wonder there's a big industry devoted to screen repair, and of course another whole industry devoted to all manner of phone cases. But why? Why the heck can't Apple and Android manufacturers make a rubberized phone with a protective layer around all that fragile glass, or even replace part of the glass with flexible silicone or plastic? And why do we consumers have to spend tens or hundreds of dollars to correct a design flaw? In other words, what the hell is going on here? Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So yes, this is going to be a bit of a rant. Here's my iPhone 12. It's a lovely phone, but as you notice, it's in a case and it has a screen protector on it. As it turned out, last week I was out walking the dogs and somebody called me and I tried to pull it out to look at who it was and just flung the phone and it landed flat onto the asphalt, just straight up, just no bouncing, no nothing. And as you know, that's actually the worst kind of hit because all of the energy is instantly transferred. It's actually better if it bounces a bit. But anyway, it landed flat and it took a chunk out of the corner of the screen right here, the protector right here, and also the glass protection that was on here. There was several cracks and a bunch of little shatter marks. So basically, if I hadn't had a screen protector and a case on the phone, it would have been toast. And here's the thing, I'm sure as I talked about this story, whether that particular thing happened to you, you've cringed, because either you've dropped your phone and barely gotten away without breaking it, or you've been unfortunate enough to drop it and have the screen shatter all over the place. So basically what that means is that we're all just used to this fact of life. And of course, phone companies like Apple tell us that this is the fashion, right? The thinner it is, the more fashionable it is. So I don't know why, but thinner for some reason is better. I'm not sure. I guess just like supermodels, they just keep telling us that thinner is better until we come to believe that. And of course, if we call the company up, their immediate question is, well, do you have our protection plan? And you say like, no. And then they tell us it's our fault that the phone breaks. Honestly, it's not really our fault. As I've talked about in other contexts before, Jeff Raskin's The Humane Interface was really mind-opening for me. And basically what he talks about is that anything designed by humans for other humans should have affordances, which means things that indicate how it's supposed to be used and make the use easier. And I know the phone is a little bit different because this is protection, but the phone itself needs to change. If so many people are breaking the phone that we need protection plans for the phone and we need repair places for the phone and we all have to go out immediately and buy cases for the phone, that means that the phone itself is broken, not us. I mean, consider going to the auto dealership and purchasing a car without any back seats, and then they tell you, oh, you can add those if you want to protect your kids, but you don't really need that because you have 2 seats in the front, so that's good. You can throw some camp chairs in the back for the kids or whatever, they'll be fine. Right, you would say that is ridiculous. We obviously want back seats for the car because that's just part of the safety elements and the comfort elements of our automobile. So how is it that the cell phone industry has convinced us that this is the right way to go and that we don't even think about that anymore? Well, first of all, to some extent, phones have become fashion over practicality. And whenever that happens, you have a weird situation where something that's fashionable could actually be very uncomfortable to wear or very unfortunately kind of cheaply made or something sometimes. In other words, something over practicality is more important. Now, of course, I fully understand fashion. I'm wearing a very expensive watch on my wrist, which, by the way, I did an episode reviewing if you want to look at it. But anyway, fashion can cause us to make compromises in terms of other quality of life elements for sure. But really, I think a big part of this is that the phone manufacturers don't really care about us, the customers, ultimately. So as is usually a good idea in these situations, let's follow the money. who makes money off the fact that these phones are really, really fragile? Well, first of all, Apple, Samsung, and other phone manufacturers make money off of it, right? You have to buy a protection plan, and or you have to replace your phone more often because it breaks, and or you have to buy a case for it. And hey, by the way, all the phone companies just so happen to make phone cases too, which by the way should tell you something. And of course, as a side note, most of these companies' customers are actually cell phone companies, not the end consumer, which is you, which leads to, who else makes money off this? Well, obviously the cell phone company does. If you have to buy a new phone more often, statistically of course, because you have a chance of breaking it, they make more money. Or they can sell you those service plans as well. So both Apple and Verizon or something can sell you these service plans that you pay actually quite a bit of money, like $200 or $300 per incident, to fix the screen if it breaks. And you know, not only do we have these front screens now, of course, we have the back glass, which by the way, I really like. I do like the fact that you can wirelessly charge these. That's very convenient, but why the heck does it have to be glass? Instead of this, I've got kind of a rubberized silicone case, right? There's no reason why this rubberized silicone could not be the back part. I understand that the front probably needs to have some durability and not get scratched easily and therefore be glass, but the back could certainly be some sort of rubberized silicone like this. You know, this is pretty indestructible, very flexible, etc. It's much, much better material and is completely transparent to wireless charging radio waves, obviously, because I charge this on my phone stand at night every night. And of course, who else makes money on this? Well, also phone case manufacturers make money on this. And finally, who else makes money on this? Well, the entire cottage industry of phone fix-it places in the mall or on the side of the street, etc., etc. Obviously, none of these businesses have any incentive to make phones any different, because the more they break and the more you need protection, the more money they make. So how can we make this insanity stop? Well, first of all, you should like this video. And I'm actually kind of serious about that. I mean, the more that customers demand better and longer lasting products, the better. And one of the ways to do that is to very publicly demand better out of the manufacturers. Of course, we could also try a class action suit concerning the unbreakable nature of the glass in particular, but that's likely a hard road because the companies, of course, have a lot of lawyers and they have very, very careful wording to be sure that you can't really sue them after the fact if your phone breaks. One thing I know is for sure, if we just accept things the way they are, they're not going to change, guaranteed. So I'm calling all of you out, Apple, Samsung, Google, etc., etc. Please think about this. Innovation in your phones has really stalled recently. Each generation is barely better than the last. Why not try innovation through better design? I mean, what else differentiates phones now? A more robust design that will be less prone to breaking and last longer is a good thing for your ultimate consumers who are us. And I would say, for sure, taking the glass off the back of all of these phones and replacing it with something like this rubberized silicone that's very, very flexible and is not going to break very easily, putting a lip around your cameras, and definitely putting a lip around the front of the screen, just more or less like what this case has. But all of these things would be incredibly valuable. They would actually cost you probably less than using the glass that you use on these phones, and you would have a good thing for your customers. At the very least, you should give us the option. Say you can purchase a 5mm thick phone that's fragile with glass on both sides, or you can purchase a 6mm thick phone that has a silicone back, bumpers, and a lip around the front to protect the screen. And then let us, the consumers, decide which ones we want more. Honestly, phones are just too much part of our daily lives for us to put up with them being so fragile any longer, or paying money for somebody to either protect it with a third-party item or fix it after the fact. Let's all demand that phone manufacturers do right by their customers and make more durable phones. It's really not that hard to do, as case manufacturers have shown. All right, I hope you enjoyed this little rant and found it fun and interesting. If you did, definitely make sure you like it so other people can find it. And also, of course, subscribe if you want to see more of this. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it. And a big thank you to Zenly Music for doing the intro and conclusion music. And of course, don't forget about our merch store. If you look in the description, you can find the link. You can purchase a t-shirt that says all input is error. There's a TeslaBot t-shirt and sweatshirt. There's mugs, there's tumblers, etc., etc. So definitely check that out and help support the channel. And also don't forget that we are Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how to help out the channel with a simple click. Thank you. And in the meantime, please do ask me questions in the comments or at my email address, which is drknowitallknows@gmail.com. Till next time, bye-bye.